Hello friend, welcome back to my channel where we learn about JakartaEE framework. So today we are going to be learning about how to properly handle query parameter in your Jakarta application. And also we are going to be implementing some advanced parameter handling techniques as well as writing unit tests for your application. Let us head over to one of our favorite places on the internet, which is start.jakarta.ee. As you can see here, I am going to be generating a starter project. I will choose the name of the project as being, uh, let's say, parameter or REST parameter project, or maybe let's just use parameter. And let's change the package name. Now it's fine. Generate the project. It's open in Eclipse. Now let's take a look around. What do we have? We have our Jakarta core API that we changed to Jakarta EE, and I want to be using the Jakarta API in version 11. And it seems to be a small error here, probably typo. It's Jakarta EE. All right, so now let's save. And what else can we change? As you can see from the previous project, let me just copy the version number to make sure that Eclipse is able to find the package 11. Now I'm changing the compiler version of Maven, and I think we are set and ready to go. As you can see, only one single dependency. It's provided by the container. And what do you have in our starter project? So we have this hello world resource. First thing we're going to do is to deploy this small starter application in Glassfish version 8. I've already started Glassfish on my machine. It's connected to Eclipse, and I am going to be deploying this starter application inside Glassfish. And it was deployed in 2.672 milliseconds. So it deploys very fast. One thing I can do right now is to see whether the sample application is working. Let's use curl for that. Localhost 8080 is the port number. Now the path is REST, and hello is the resource or resource not found. I forgot the context name, so I'm going, yeah, this is parameter. This is the application path. Hello world class seems to be fine. Name Jakarta EE. What do you have? Hello Jakarta. So everything's good. We have our application up and running, my friend. Now let's create a new class parameter resource. The path is going to be users, because this is the resource that we are going to be working with. I am going to be using JSON as media type for all my endpoints. So application JSON. Now let us create a new method, search users, and we're going to be returning a response back to the client. This is going to be a GET request. And also, now we need some parameter, right? So first thing we need is a name. So we need a name, we need an email, We also need a page, a size, and need page size, probably sort. Do we use sort or okay, I have a compiler error. Let me fix it. So I want to be sorting the result and the direction of the sort. Now that we have our parameter, now let's see where the magic happens. Query parameter. We're going to use this annotation to map our query parameter from the URL to our parameter in our method name. So we have a query parameter which is the name, then we also have another one which is the email, another one which is the page to support pagination, and the size of the result. The sorting parameter is going to be the fifth one, and also the direction of the sorting behavior. All right, so now it's all set and done. Let's start to doing some coding. So we need something like a user search criteria object. So I'm going to be creating one. User search criteria, it's equals to new user search criteria. So the class is not yet present. We're going to be creating it. So create new class. I have my class ready. Now let's pass the query parameter, the incoming parameter, into my my search criteria holder. So I'm setting the name. Now set email, and set the page number. Now I'm setting the size. Set size. Now search criteria. Set sort, which is the sort order. No, sort behavior. Whether you should now set direction, and now I need to implement all the different setters. How do you call it, right? So set all the set methods. So we're going to be filling up the user search criteria objects. Set email this time. Next up is set page, and then we do want to, so this page is equal to page. Now set size is going to be next. When it's done, we are going to be setting, so set size now set direction, now set sort, now set direction. So this direction is equal to direction, and next up is so let's generate the fields first, because Eclipse is not happy, a lot of compiler error. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of all these setters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be removing them because I don't really need them. So yeah, if I was using Groovy, I wouldn't have to be using all these setters. I mean, using setters, doesn't really make sense here. Anyway, this sort is equal to sort, so direction is equal to direction. And now it's, let's say, easier on the eyes, right? Fine. Now that we have our search criteria, let's remove all the all the things that we don't need. Sort, everything's package private. Now we need a service. so that we can pass the criteria as parameter. What we're trying to retrieve is a list of users. So we're doing some type of top-down programming. Now I need a service, user service that I'm going to be injecting in my resource. Of course, the service is not yet implemented. I'm going to be creating a new class, user service, and we need a new method and also a new user class. First, let's create the user class, and now let's implement the search functionality. As you can see, we have the user search criteria as parameter. Now we need some type of database, so we're going to be using an in-memory concurrent hash map for that. The key is long and the value is a user. Let's statically initialize our concurrent hash map. So yeah, it's basically our database for the time being. We initialize some users. May want to initialize maybe 5 different users, or users dot put ID is 1, then the first user is John Doe. Now let's repeat 5 times. So we have email, page, size, sort. So the first parameter is the name, the second parameter is the email. So 1, 2, 3, 4, name, and then the email is the second parameter. So this is the initialization routine of our user. This name is name. Now let's initialize the fields, name and email. All right, so we have our database set up now. Let's implement our search. Let me fix some compile error first. All right, now how do we search? We have our search criteria, right? Once we have a criteria, we need to initialize a result list. At first, the result is going to be empty. And now let's check some filter from the criteria and apply them on the database to be able to return some result. Now, if the criteria has the name field set, it means that we will be searching by name. First thing we check is that the name is not null, and we remove empty spaces. Now that we know that the name is there, we are going to be filtering by the name. So we are going to be using stream for that. Stream.filter.user user.name equals to. So let's make it lowercase first. And we are going to be using contains so that we can search not on the whole name, but only on some of the content of the character in the names. Let me duplicate that with emails to be the same. Now email to lowercase is equal or contents. I want to do exact matching with emails. So now I have the result. I feel like I'm going to be having an error here because the first list is immutable and the second list, I mean, we're going to be testing and we will see. But I think if the first list is immutable, I'm not going to be able to modify the list afterwards. Anyway, so let's make direction a string, and think we are ready to go. Now let's switch on the sorting parameter. So if we have to be sorting by name, now we have to check the direction. We will be sorting the list of results by comparing two entries in the list by name, because we are sorting by name, and depending on the direction. So if the direction is ascending, the first name is going to be compared to the second name. But if the direction is let's check first. So name compared to why is Eclipse not completing? Eclipse seems to be having some issue with lambdas and code completion. So I do know there's a compare to. So I'm comparing the name of the first user to the second one. And in case it's not ascending, I'm going to be doing the reverse. So I will be comparing the second username with the first one. So I'm basically reversing the order of the first comparison. Now I am sorting by name. I may also be sorting by email. So let me duplicate this one. Case email compared to the first one, now compared to the second one. Now that we have our result, we've sorted by direction, we sorted by name based on the direction. Now we do return the result. So everything is good. Our result is there. Now let's test our application, because it deploys automatically. As soon as you change anything, it deploys automatically, and it deploys very, very fast. So I couldn't even show you how it deployed, because it's constantly being deployed in the background. So let us test the first, the starter endpoint first. It's still working. Now we have added our new path that we're trying to test. I'm getting a 404 error. Looks like the application hasn't picked up my changes. I don't know why. It's users is the real path. Let me check the logs. 404, so the path is not known. Something, what is wrong here? Oh, let's try again. So the sample project is working. Now the new path is not working. 404, so it looks like it is not seeing the user. Oh, there's a warning. All right, so the results with the path user is not being picked up by the container. But why? At least it knows that the resource or the sub resource is there. Okay, yeah, it's a public. You should have a public method there. So now we are getting further along. Now I do have an injection issue because the user service cannot be injected. I am using the inject from the CDI, and since I am using the implicit CDI, I have to annotate my bin with a scope. In this case, this is a request scope. Since I'm not using any bins.xml, I need to specify by annotation which services need to be in. inject it. Now I have another error. What's going on? Null pointer. Oh, this is good. So at least we know that our method is being called. Now let's check if criteria.sort is equal null. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. We can use default value for that. Let's move on to the resource where we are setting the sort. We can use the annotation default value for that. So we're going to be setting a default value on the name, not on the name, but on the sort parameter. So by default, if the sort parameter is not set, we are going to be sorting by name. So this is how you use the default value annotation. And you see it has redeployed in one second. Very, very fast. Now we're not getting any null pointer anymore. Let's add a name. Let's say we're searching by name. We get another error. No error when we don't set the name. Now what's going on? Sorry. We are setting the name and getting an error. Let me see. Let me make this bigger so I can read the logs a bit better. So what's wrong with this error message? When I set the name, I get an unsupported operation exception. Oh, I knew it. When you are using the stream and you set to list at the end to materialize your collection, you know that, oh, I also had a bug. Yeah, I need to replace to list with a collect because the to list will return an immutable list and you are not able to modify the list afterwards. I mean, this is bad practice, but you get the point. So now it's empty. When I set John, it's also empty. So at least we are not getting any errors anymore. And I need you to look at the deploy in 1 second. It's very, very fast. Now let's initialize the result with the whole database, and then we're going to be searching through the database. Now I'm still getting an error. What's wrong here? Oh, direction is null. Why is direction null? Because I checked the direction before I sort by the criteria. So let's use default value for direction as well. And we are going to be setting the default value to ascending, right? Now let's try again. All right, so now we receive our objects, but they are not properly deserialized, which means we need to be adding some annotation. Oh yeah, there's no getter, so you can find the properties. Now I set everything to public. Ta-da. Now we have our 4 users. Now let's change the name so you can see that we are getting the right result. We are searching. We are returning basically we are returning only the users where John is in the name. Now that I've changed this, you see I return only a single entry, John Doe. Now let's play further by searching, or let's change some of the entries in the database. John, let's add Johnny, and then we get 2 entries, which is good. Now let's search by, what else do we have? We can search by name. You can search by email. We have been using the default value to sort. So now the default sort order is ascending. Let's change the direction of the sorting. So we search with name equals to O. Now we are searching by changing the direction from the default value of ascending to descending. Now let's do something that's very cute. We are going to be validating based on a regular expression. So I'm using a pattern to specify how the direction has to look like. So if you send me a request with direction not in this set of possible value, you'll be getting an error message. So let's try that. I've defined a regular expression and I've said that direction should be either descending or ascending. Now let's set a bad value, we receive a bad request. You see, it's cool, right? Now sorting by direction ascending, descending, everything looks fine. So direction is accepting only two possible values, ascending or descending, which is awesome. Now we can do the same with sorting because we can sort by name, we can sort by email, and we can also sort by actually only name and email because these are the only two attributes that we are using for searching. So let's try again. We are sorting by email. Now when I try to sort by something that's not name or email, I get an error message. Bad request, which is good. Now let's write some unit test. New unit test. I do not want Eclipse to link its own package. First thing I need to do is I'm going to be copying the unit dependency from the previous project. So I have the unit dependency and I also have the Aquilian dependency. Then I'm going to be copying over to this new one. So for those of you who have missed the first video where I'm writing the Sailwell tutorial and how to initialize your unit test, please make sure you check that video. It's very simple. So the first thing I do when I have my dependency set up is to see whether or not I can start the test. So can I start unit? Yes, unit is running. Now I'm going to set up the container, which is the glassfish embedded, and I'll also need to check first whether I can start my test with my container running. So what do I need? I need a client builder or a client because I'll be testing the real thing. So I'm going to be sending a real HTTP request. So I need an HTTP client. Once I get my client, I need to define my target. And so let's try with results so that it's automatically closable. Now response is equal to client dot target. Now I need the path of my server running. So with Aquilian, you're going to be using the Aquilian resource, using string as a base URL. Now target base URL is going to be of type URL, not string. And now I can use the external form of the URL. Actually set to string, but the external form is things. It's going to be the same thing. So to external form, and then I need to add the path, which is the REST part of the path, REST users, and get. Okay, I've run it. It's not running. Why is it not running? Okay, it's running. At least I'm getting a response back. But I need to fix all these Java 9 modules error, right? And so let's configure our JVM argument. So I'm going to be adding opens is Java base, I guess. Java is complaining about Java's naming. So Java's naming slash Java's naming.spi module, all module name. Now let's run it. No more module 9 error, which is good. So we're getting ahead. Let's try again. Unable to make. So now Java base and Java length. So I need to open Java length from the Java base module. So let's add. Let's copy that. Add opens Java base slash Java length, and then open as all unnamed module. All right, so we are starting again. No Java 9 module error, and I'm able to start the Glassfish embedded container, which is good. Next up is to test whether or not I am getting a result or an error code from the response. So response.status.ok, get status code, get status. I expect a 200 error, a 200 error code, which means successful. But it is not. Why I'm getting a 404 error code, which means that the path is not being initialized in my Arculian test. What is wrong? Let me take a look. My application is REST, and the resource is also users. Oh, I've initialized the container without using the application class. All right, so let's add the application class to all the classes that should be packaged into the container. Now my test is running fine, right? Now let's test some result. I will be testing the user search endpoint, and for that I use my response. I read the entity that's coming back, and we are returning the list of users. And in this case, I'll be returning all the users that are in the database. I'm going to be using a generic type so that the list is going to be automatically converted from the entity to the list of users. So yeah, this is a nice trick that you're not going to be seeing to a lot of places. Something is wrong with my my parenthesis. So generic type, it's, oh yeah, okay, so this is generic, yeah. type the list user is generic parameter, and then this is an interface, so I have to just open and close the all right, so fine. Now let's assert that the user's size that's coming back is 4 because we have 4 elements in our database. I'm going to be returning all those elements. So let's check that we have 4 as a result. Let's run it. And the result, no, what? Unable to deserialize. Oh, that's the issue with the embedded container. It does not deserialize as unless you add deserializers, deserializer, or you configure a provider. What I'm going to be using now is a record. Record automatically deserialize, whether you're using an embedded container or you're using the glassfish container or so and so. And also record are less verbose, and they have very, very interesting properties. So let me refactor. I'm not using a simple class anymore. I'm using a record, which is a value object, which you should be using anytime you are trying to use a DTO. So it's fine here. So I'm changing everything to records, and email name. What else do we have? So now it compiles, starting the container or the test again, and it's going to be deserialized without any issue, which is cool. Now let's add another check. Now I've tested the size of the result or the size of the list of users coming back from the server. Now I want to be testing that one of the users or the first user in the list is exactly what I think it is. Since we are using records, which is we are going to be seeing one of the properties of the record that makes records very special. So as you can see here, I do not need to write a hash code or equals method to be able to compare two records object, which is very, very fine, you see. So I'm taking the first element in the list of result, and because I'm sorting them in descending order, I'll be getting the last element in the list, and it should be Lillian Doe, right? No, I'm getting 400 bad request. Why is it bad request? Let me check the query parameter. It's a bad request. What is wrong with my request? So I have sort descending request is bad request. I'm getting error code 200 instead of, oh, the direction. It's not sort, it's direction. I'm sorting by name, but the direction is descending. All right, so I should be getting the last element in the list because I'm sorting by descending order. And it should be equal to, as you can see, this is basically a Scala case class. So Java records are awesome. This is an equal method that I'm using in my test without having written a hash code or an equal method. So yeah, if I change anything, you can see that they are not equal. And yeah, records are cool. They are like Scala case classes. which is beautiful. All right, very good. So let's run the test once again. Everything is fine.